Gene Marks, you not only write about small businesses, but you run one. Tell me about the inspiration for the Marks Group.
So we are a 10-person company based out of Philadelphia, and I started the business with my father. The inspiration was he had written the world's worst bookkeeping software, and I made the decision to go into business with him. The good news was that when the year 2000 came along, his software was rendered useless. And because of that, it got us into selling the software that we sell today. So the inspiration was to provide my CPA and accounting services, that my background, to the software that we sell. Didn't work out that way exactly.
Well, what were some of the biggest challenges in getting the Marks Group off the ground?
Money was one of the biggest things. Working with my dad was tough. Love him. He passed away a few years ago, but when you work with family members, there's always like that kind of stuff going on. And educating the market. So sometimes people introduce products or services that would be a little bit ahead of stuff. We introduced our software, this is back in like the 90s, so it wasn't, a lot of education had to happen for people to start catching on.
Well, you started as a family business, but
Right.
eventually you had to hire people from outside the family. Can you
Yep.
talk about the staffing process?
Yeah, best decision I ever made. I mean, it was just me and my dad for a number of years, and my mom doing the books. And then what happened was, as we started to grow, I started to hire people to do the work for me. And I took some advice from other people saying you try to find people that are smarter than you. And I found that there are quite a few people in this world that are smarter than me. So I brought on some smart people to do the work that I was doing. And that process helped me to develop into more of a business development and salesperson. And it was at that time when I brought on people that our business really started taking off.
Can you talk about how you delegated, how you were able not to micromanage because it was your shop, it was a family business, then all of a sudden someone from outside the family comes in? Must have been difficult.
Well, Greg, I can tell you this. I'm a very selfish and lazy person at heart. That pretty much makes up my DNA. So whenever any tasks had to happen, anything needed to be done, my first thought in my mind was, who can I get to do this for me? And you know what? That's worked out pretty well as I've added people, because the problems have come up or things need to be done. Rather than me doing it, I'd rather supervise somebody else doing it. So I am the opposite of a micromanager. I'm a CPA, but I'm not even a very good CPA because I do such a bad job paying attention to details. That worked out pretty well for me as a business owner.
What about marketing the business? How do you get word out?
Initially it's tough to get word out until you start getting known. But we've been around for like almost 25 years, which I'm starting to get very upset saying that. And we've built up a pretty good client base, and we're mostly based in Philly. And Philly's a small town for a big city. So you eventually, at time, as you build up a business and start getting good clients and good customers, you start getting some referrals and word of mouth. Most of our business comes from referrals.
And now that you're in growth mode, looking back, is there something that you could have done differently when you first started that you wish you did differently?
Never would have gone with my father's horrible bookkeeping software to begin with, but putting that aside, I would have definitely had more money in the bank. People make the decision of not having enough capital when they start up a business, and we were able to eke our way through. But you know what? We live in a capital society. It takes capital to launch businesses, and rather than having a year's worth of savings, I wish I had 2 years worth of savings. It would have eased a lot of the stress.
And what are your growth plans for the Marks Group?
So we're introducing now an online training platform because the nature of selling business software is changing. So we've launched that. We're now out there marketing it as well. It's a huge headache to figure out how to do it the right way, and with Google AdWords and on Facebook and attracting people to subscribe. And that also takes capital as well. We're self-financing it, but I believe that the services that we're performing, more of them are going towards online.
And other than capital and finding capital for your growth plans, what are the other big challenges to growing your business?
Finding people. Right? I mean, if I had enough intelligent people like you working for me, I would be able to grow my business by leaps and bounds. If I find that good person that's got a good skill set, I can sell them. And there's not enough of those available people around. Really, it's not a bad problem to have. I mean, it's indicative of the economy today, but it's certainly a challenge.
And then finally, as someone who answers a lot of questions from small business owners, what are the most common questions you get when it comes to people who want to grow their business?
How come I have no money in the bank, but my accountant tells me I owe taxes? I hear that all the time, and I'm not even perform taxes. But besides that question, the biggest problem that people have has to do with finding people again. And again, it changes every few years. The problems that was 10 years ago is how do I stay in business, Gene? Considering what the economy is now, it's all about how do we go. Every client that I go to has open positions, and they're looking and retaining people as well. You and I talking a few years from now, probably be different questions that are asked.
All right, thanks a lot, Gene.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.